Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream tonight. We are here for the Sunday night episode. The HOH Heist of the Century. We're going to watch it. We're going to react to it. We're going to talk about it. And then a podcast afterward. That is how the Sunday night works. How are you all doing today? What a day it's been. Let's start a prediction up. Commercial by 5:12. It's wild to feel like I started the season, night one of feeds, like this HOH is one of the worst first HOHs I've ever seen. What awful decision making by this man named Vince. And now, 20 days later, every other player has proven themselves to somehow be even worse. And I'm back around to maybe Vince is the best player in this house. Maybe the guy who had a super awful first HOH and failed himself last week. Is still somehow the best player in this house. If Jimmy goes on that block, I think we all have to prepare. We all have to jump on board. Not that it's his doing, because it's not, but he certainly benefits. And what he is doing right is at least something right compared to what everyone else is doing. All right, we are nearly there. Episode is on. The lady from Lafayette. Melvin, thank you for the $5 over on YouTube. I appreciate that. Oops, that's not meant to be.
Her with 3 pawns on the block.
That's where we are. I am eating a sandwich. It's a turkey sandwich. Oh, but thank you for the 19th. The bread lover was toast. How was Together after sleeping on it? I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time. My only issue is, and I didn't even think of this, Weapons is coming out, I think, like next week. And I'm definitely going to see that. So that's kind of like 2 horror movies in a row. Yeah, they just showed the whole thing. I actually just recorded the next Genius video, Genius game reaction on for Patreon, and they do a similar thing in the Genius episode 6 flash forward where they spoil the result of the episode. I was like, what are they doing? Can look forward to my annoyance at that on the Patreon. All the good things. I appreciate that you're enjoying the curls. I'm not kind enough to them during a season, but luckily sometimes they work. Here we go. It's a lie, though. They had the votes, and they knew they had the votes. Oh, there we go. Lauren wanted to do it more than they did. I can't believe they're pawning it off on Lauren in the diary room. Lazy thing for the 3 months. At least Vince's explanation was an actual explanation. I disagree with it, but at least he had an actual reason. Pub, I think the 21st. Turned. Kelly sees the light. But Kelly won the blockbuster. What does that have to do with the vote? Throwing in Catherine and Riley. They haven't really been targets on the show yet, but we're squeezing it in there. Run thing for the 6th. Zach's damage control did not work. To be fair, though, it's mostly because Vinny threw him under the bus. Ricky, thank you for the 13th. Keanu comes in and pre-forgives him. This is true. I think this is true to form. This has to be coming a little bit out of nowhere for the viewers who had no idea that this was even supposed to be a split vote until just now, right? The girls are leading Zach and Vince on. It's the girls' fault that the men betrayed me. Ellie, why are you telling Riley of all people? You should be telling more people than just Riley. She is a woman scorned. Not nominating, not volunteering again. Wow, that was so close. That was so close. It's been so close. All right. Do we crown an HOH winner in the next segment? Yes, no. What I mean is, do we know who wins, basically? We saw some of Vince's stuff. I'd really love to see more Like Vince saying he looks up to Riley and how he plays the game was so funny to me. I really want to see it in the episode. Persephone, thank you for the $7 Canadian. I appreciate it. Over there on YouTube. Can I talk to my connections at RHAP and tell them we need another Big Brother week out of context short? Lavina was saying something about it. I'm not sure if there's going to be another one. I don't remember what she was saying though. She was talking to Sam. I was just there. Is there a way to limit the prediction bets? I don't think so. See, Breezy, thank you for the 5th month. I mean, listen, I'm telling you, I'm seeing people in the chat. You know what? I'm Team Kelly. Kelly's growing on me. Just remember who was the first to say it. All right, we're back. Yeah, that's a cool outfit for Lauren. Wanted to target Mickey. They Squid Games her. Secret Lucas thinking for the 45th. So is that all it was for Kelly? There were people who thought she was safe this week initially because she sat out of the comp, but it sounds like she maybe only sat out of one round. Why does Zach look like he has awful balance? Like, genuinely? I'm surprised. I honestly expected a lot more from him. Yeah, Morgan is way faster and has way better balance. Yeah, I guess baseball players don't need to have. I mean, they. I feel like swinging a bat requires good balance now. I mean, she crushed him. Keanu, much bigger guy. Looks cozy. Those beams just aren't very thin. Oh, look at this. It's a commercial. That is a no. We do not crown an HOH winner in this segment. Um, hmm. How about do we get an Ava DR in the next segment? I think that generally the way that I would look at a balance beam to see how difficult it is that like if my entire shoe fits on the beam itself, then it's barely a balance beam. Like if I can fit my entire foot on it without any bits hanging off, then there's very little balance involved. It's more just about like make sure you're precise with your steps and you're fine. Once you start to get more narrow and and the beam is smaller than your foot, I I could be wrong. I'm not like a gymnastics person, but in gymnastics there are a couple of things about the balance beam. One is that um it's not like perfectly flat, right? I don't know if that even matters. But the other is that they are doing acrobatics on it. You know what I mean? So it requires significantly more. It is perfectly flat. Um, I think the acrobatics part is I think is the more important thing. Like the they are like jumping and flipping and doing all kinds of stuff. And so I assume that like the level of precision that they need to do those kinds of things is pretty high. Ariel, thank you for the subscription. Welcome to the Robot Army. All right, we're back. Will and Ashley, Morgan and Mickey. Will was a very bad choice there. I'm sorry, but Will is not your competition in this competition. Yeah, they shouldn't have been cheering Rachel. They did not make it easier. But that was a smart thing to do. Too many players are afraid to like be a little rude or make it a little uncomfortable. I forgot that there was a lot of speculation that Vince threw this. Zach is also really bad in the DR. You can tell they're already setting up the Jimmy backdoor. Jimmy has talked so much in this episode about how much he wants to protect his girls. You know they're putting that in there because they're ready to bury the move. Wow, they cut out a lot of his celebration, didn't they? Zach, you weren't that close. That's a no to an Ava DR. Kansas, thank you for the 50th month. Is the takeover initiated in the next segment? Damn, thank you for the 24th. Basically, in the next segment, do we learn that Mickey has chosen to use her power? That was interesting though. I'm interested about Zach's potential in competitions now. He seems to have. Which vetoes has he played in? Has he played in any vetoes yet? Week 1. Yeah. Didn't he? I think he played in week 1. I'm remembering that. I don't recall him doing particularly well. He won the $10,000, but he was so far behind Adrian in that comp that Adrian was able to check like every downstairs door. And then he basically was able to coast off of Adrian's success. I don't recall him being particularly close in any HOHs, so any other HOHs so far. Authentic, you think with the 37th? I mean, put Zach in a comp against people who are much older than him or much less athletic than him, he still probably wins. But like, I'm wondering if he's got a little cam in him. "10 feet tall and bulletproof." I make the rules this week. I love that because this doesn't work out, they're actually showing the conversation where they talk about the noms instead of all the nonsense they normally do to hide it. I hate that they're not like showing just how much of a consensus it was that Mickey had it. Why do they have to sound like they're reading from a script? You know she was not the person that came up with "this is the true definition of high risk, high reward." You know it because she said it the same way that she read the rest of the script. The risk, use your power. The reward, send home an ally. Oh, here it is. It has, in fact, been activated, initiated. Next prediction. Purple, thank you for the 44th. You're a effing liar. Do we get that quote in the next segment? It doesn't have to be exact. We heard retells, and in the retell, it was your an effing liar. But if it's close enough, we'll accept it. We're just looking for Riley crashing out and saying, and dropping an F bomb, you know, and probably saying liar. Because there's basically two ways that two things that could happen here. It could be that we don't get to it in the next segment, or it could be that they don't show it at all because their version of Riley is a romantic one, perhaps. I will be on the recap, yeah. Rob should be back soon, but Rob normally takes Sundays off anyway. Did Rachel really offer herself as a renom? Yeah, I believe so. Yep. Basically, I was just listening to the feeds. I hear Rachel drop Ava's name, and I was like, she's joking. But then they keep talking about nominating Ava. All of a sudden, Mickey's in tears, and I'm like, wait, what in the world is happening? I tweeted out, I'm instantly getting responses. It's code. So I start like paying attention and I start watching and I'm like, oh my God, it is code. She's talking about herself. We're back. You can be safe if you fess up. The rest of the house, 24 hours later, Riley's such a sweetheart. So the biggest reason people suspected Mickey was because Zach pretty much knew it was Mickey. Vince did give some decent info here. Without pushing too hard. Maybe Mickey. Maybe Mickey. They really were feeding him Mickey. I'm so mad we didn't watch this on feeds. What if it was America? She talked about this. We both know it's Ashley. Of course, Keanu comes in with the wrong read. Ashley giving me when I'm a minion to the demon in Blood on the Clock Tower. Ashley constantly smiles. She always smiles. You can't say, oh, she's smiling the whole time, therefore she's guilty. She's always smiling. She literally can't get a smile off of her face. Catherine, you need to sit down. I know fake when I see it. Yeah. Zach misled him. This is one of the first active moves that Zach has made that was a good move. He is correct. He would have been in more trouble this week. And you know, like you wouldn't have guessed it, but this week's gonna go even better for him than you might have could have possibly imagined if Jimmy leaves. We did not get effing liar. It wasn't even revealed. Final DR. Riley, Mickey. Jeez. Could be so many people. Ashley, Rachel, Catherine, Zach, Vince, Keanu, Kelly, other. I don't think they're going to cliffhanger the reveal. They've basically already told us that Mickey's going to get this. But clearly we're not going to get Mickey's noms here, which I think is a good thing. I think that what that means is that in Wednesday's episode, we're going to get Mickey's noms veto ceremony. Which, like, if you're going to pack stuff into an episode, I'd rather you do that on the 90-minute Wednesday rather than like speed through. You know, maybe we didn't need 2 segments of a comp in this episode, but, you know, what are you going to do? Oh, that is true. We have a lot to get through for the renom. So that's actually a little bit worrying. Sheriff Country sounds like a parody of a show. All right, we're back. We're back. What is that music? Knew it, said Catherine. You wasted it. We spared you and you wasted it. Oh, sorry. I just got distracted by the feeds. Who's the last AR? Was that Riley? Okay. Whoa, did you see that cut to them arguing in the gym twice? Woo. Yeah, I just saw that quote. Rachel saying, "Scratch the Ava idea. Ava was just having a moment." Also, maybe a little bit known as Rachel was just in the diary room. This is people always talk about diary room interference, diary room interference. The one thing the diary room will do is they will do everything in your power to prevent you from quitting. And we know this because it's very obvious when DR tries to do something. People do not hide it when DR tries to manipulate them. Sometimes they are overcautious, I think. Sometimes they think that they read into things that don't even exist. But very obviously, the DR tries to prevent people from quitting. What an episode. I mean, listen, I'm a feeds guy. You know this. I think it would have been so fun to watch those interrogations one by one. I'm also really sad that we didn't see Rachel running around and telling people to make him think it was Ashley, because we heard that that happened, and I imagine that's a big part of how that worked. But I think it still worked for TV. I think the main thing we learned was Zach did intentionally mislead Riley. Vince very lightly basically told Riley it was Mickey. I mean, the world where they did force the tie and they voted out Will and kept Adrian, and Riley wins this competition and Mickey tries to take it over. Zach tells Riley, I know it's Mickey. They block it. They take down Ashley or Mickey. As in take them out of the game. And they're just kind of cruising, dude. Okay. Hear me out. I feel like I'm off in this guy. I feel like people doubt crying all the time. And I genuinely think that at 95% of any time you see someone cry in the Big Brother house, it's real. I think people vastly overestimate the amount of times that people fake cry. And while, yes, Vince was for sure playing it up, I heard some sniffles. Like, I heard congestion in his nose, which is a pretty difficult thing to fake, I would say. What people will often do is they will cry, and that is fair. He does sniff a lot. But what people will often do is they will cry and then afterward be like, oh yeah, that was me doing that on purpose. I was playing that up. But like they were really crying. You know what I mean? Even Angela was often someone who would really cry and then say she played it up. That said, Angela is one of the few that actually did fully fake it, for sure. But it kind of requires an Angela-like personality to full on fake cry. Because it's kind of like wild behavior. To like actually fully pretend like you're crying when you're not. And they're in a very stressful environment. Emotions get high all the time, especially if you're in the middle of something like that. So it's not, I think, that hard to dip into genuine emotions and start crying, but it's still real. Anyway, it sounds like Rachel has backed off. Not that I think Mickey was going to take her up on the offer anyway. They're still talking about Vinny, but I really don't think it's happening. Yeah, you can fake why you're crying, exactly. All right, so that was tonight's episode. I will be live with the podcast very shortly. So stay tuned. And I will see you all over there.